there's always been this mantra that leadership is lonely. And honestly, that I found that to be very true. I remember being at a church and I had been part-time and they offered me to jump me up to full-time. And I've always liked doing things with other people. It's just by nature, I just enjoy the process more. And so I proposed, I said, what if instead of the pay that you would give me to bring me on full time, if I brought on maybe 2 part-time people with that money? And they're like, they kind of looked at me like I was an idiot. And like, why would you do that? This is your opportunity to step into greater leadership. And I was like, what's the point of doing that if I'm by myself?
Welcome to the Worship Probs podcast, where we aim to entertain, encourage, and equip worship and tech leaders all around the world. Look, we all know that serving in worship and production is great, but the problems, those are real. Thanks for joining us as we dive into today's episode with our host, Brian Tabor.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 391 of the Worship Probs podcast. What is up? Welcome back. We're always glad that you're here to hang. And man, I've got today something special. Not one, but 2 amazing people here. So welcome back our friend, Mr. Heath Bottomley, the HMB.
And you said that right. Guy? Wow. I'm glad we went through the pronunciation of my name. So.
Exactly. And with us today also is Brenna Pavkov. Pavkov. See,
That's okay. Yeah, Brenna Pavkov.
I'm so sorry. Pavkov.
That's okay.
And you guys are from Pure Heart Church in Phoenix, Arizona. You're sweating out there, but you're not sweating today. It's not that bad.
It's not too bad today. It's 80 degrees.
Day.
It's a little chilly here.
You, on the other hand, you're cooking,
it's
right?
a little chilly. It's a little chilly. Yeah, it's in the 90s here. That's so wild.
Yeah.
It's so wild. Wow. We've swapped places. Well, this is going to be a fantastic episode. So, man, grab a cold brew coffee, maybe a snack. I don't know how crazy you want to get with it. But we're going to dive in. And as always, we got prayer concerns. And today, got a special edition of prayer concerns, unusual song requests. You know, if you have anybody, my most unusual song request is "The Circle of Life" from The Lion King. Mm-hmm. And that was serious. I remember where I was standing when this woman asked me to sing "The Circle of Life."
It only works if you act it out as well.
You have to.
You have to.
Exactly. Yeah. Baby dedication. So
someone's holding you. There's Tabor.
Oh my gosh. This is going to be great. So, okay. But before prayer concerns, the 3 of us are going to have a conversation about team leadership. And if that concept is new to you, we're about to ease your load a little bit. It's going to be a great, great conversation. So I'm glad you're here. Thanks for hanging out with us today on YouTube or wherever you're listening, wherever you get your podcast. So before we dive in, I want to give some love to our amazing partners, the folks at Planning Center and AE Global. This episode of the Worship Probs podcast is brought to you by Planning Center, an all-in-one software that can help you organize every facet of your ministry, connect with your people, and help your people stay connected to each other. Among the many ways Planning Center can help you do that is through task management. In Planning Center, you can create detailed tasks, organize to-do lists, and even collaborate on those tasks with other team members in real time. Do you have recurring events and projects with long to-do lists? Make a task list template to save time. Have regular tasks you need help keeping up with? Set your tasks to automatically repeat at an interval of your choosing. And the best part is that you can create tasks from absolutely anywhere in Planning Center using the toolbar. You'll find your Tasks tab in Planning Center Home, the place you see all the important updates happening across your account. To learn more and get started today, visit planningcenter.com or click the link in our bio. Prayer Concerns is brought to you by our friends at AE Global. Worship and production ministry is hard. Every week you're preparing, troubleshooting, and dreaming about what could be next. And most days, it can feel like you're doing it all alone. But what if you had a trusted partner who understood the pressure and chaos and walked with you through it? For more than 30 years, AE Global has been building relationships with churches just like yours, helping with everything from audio, video and lighting to system design and even installation. But they're more than an integrator, and they're about more than just selling gear. AE Global is a team that comes alongside you and a partner for the long haul, someone to brainstorm, troubleshoot, and dream with. They don't just care about your equipment, but the people behind it. Because great ministry happens when you don't have to carry it all by yourself. If you're ready for a partner who understands church production and wants to help you move forward with confidence, visit the link in our bio and reach out to AE Global today. Don't do ministry alone. Navigate it together with AE Global. All right, so this is a conversation for every worship leader, production leader, pastor, creative, volunteer, anybody trying to lead healthy teams in the local church. So you've got to share this episode with your staff, even if they're not in worship and production creative. This is going to be a really, really great one because, man, doesn't leading people sound amazing? But,
yeah.
Sometimes
all the bells and whistles,
right, it can get complicated. It can get, so today we're going to dive in to the idea of team leadership. What does that look like? Why does it matter? And why healthy ministry, it has to be bigger than one person carrying everything. And I did that the wrong way for a lot of years. And so wherever you're watching or listening from, welcome, and let's jump in. Okay, so as we're starting our conversation here, Heath and Brenna, I'm wondering, tell us a little bit about Pure Heart Church and what roles are you guys in at the church?
Well, Pure Heart is 30 some odd years old now and everything. But Brenna, you've been here you kind of grew up in this church.
Yeah,
right?
I've probably been going to Pure Heart since I was maybe 11 or 12, right around middle school, the awkward years.
And she's
That's
16
awesome.
now, so she's just
16.
Exactly.
With 2 kids. So, wait.
Yeah. Well,
sorry, that took a dark turn.
That changes the whole dynamic of this conversation. Which, hey, it's a new world. And actually, my first church position was actually at Pure Heart 30 years ago. Our pastor, Dan, his first week on the job here as an associate pastor was actually my last week before I moved across town to another church. So fast forward a few decades later, and we're working together again, which is pretty cool. But
Very cool.
I'm part of an amazing team, what we call our creative teams, which is the worship, tech, media, and communications. And the person who has been, I don't want it to sound like it's condescending and all, but she's basically like my protege as far as she is taking over a big chunk of the role that I used to have. And working into that. So, but honestly, she's one of the best leaders I've ever had a chance to work with is Brenna. And so she is our creative pastor. She stepped into that role just in the last year or so?
Yeah, the last year. And I'll Venmo you for saying the nice things that I wrote down for you to say.
Anytime. Yeah. Wait for the invoice first. So.
Right. Yeah. I started here leading worship with our students, which was super fun. I did that for around 6 or so years, and just recently have stepped into this new role, still leading worship in our main services every weekend, but now getting to kind of oversee and work with a lot of our team, and just making things cohesive and creatively leading people to Christ, which is so fun.
Man, I love that. I love that. And you guys, multiple campuses, multiple locations?
Yeah. So we're
we currently
here.
have.
Yeah, I was going to say we're
3.
here at our Glendale campus now. Around the corner, we have our Peoria campus. We have a Spanish campus that meets here on Saturday nights, which is really fun. And our online campus. We have our whole online congregation as well. So.
Wow, I
we
love
also
it.
have a few venues as well, which are in Celebrate Recovery type Crossroads rehab facilities. We do venues there where they actually play the online campus, and we have like a chaplain on site that guides people through. So just some unique elements of it.
Very, very cool. And you guys do something really special with your online campus, if I'm correct. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can go ahead, Heath. I saw you. You were excited. You want to talk about this.
Well, so we treated it as a destination, not just a live broadcast. So we have an online campus pastor. We actually have whoever's speaking that week, they pre-record the message. They're talking to the person on the other side of the camera. They're talking to the person on the other side of the TV instead of a fly-on-the-wall experience where you're just kind of feeling what the room is like. You're getting a personal experience where everything is produced to be able to connect with you at your media device. So, which is
that's so cool.
Very unique, but the growth to it has been just phenomenal. It's by far the biggest campus that we have.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Well, I have a little bit of perspective on what it probably takes to do that every week. And so tip of the cap to the whole team there at Pure Heart, to you guys and everybody else who's doing cameras and editing and all the stuff that it takes to make that happen every week. That is really, really incredible. So we're going to talk a little bit about team leadership. So can you give us, how long have you guys approached leadership as a team at Pure Heart?
Well, I think that, and I think Brenna would agree with this, that there's always been at Pure Heart a team dynamic to how everything goes. But I think what we've seen over time is that there is a dynamic of the default for most churches is what we call hierarchical leadership. It's a top-down approach. It's, hey, the man of God or the woman of God who, then shares, hey, this is what we're doing, this is where we're going. And you have people to facilitate the vision. Team leadership in its actual form, as opposed to just talking point, is where you flip that kind of upside down to where the people in leadership, one of their main roles is to equip the people on their team to be able to run. And you give away authority, which is a very tough dynamic for people who maybe grew up in more of the hierarchical or felt like once I'm in leadership, that's when I really get to see my vision take place, and it's like when you're in this leadership, it is, you get to pave the way for other people to run. And which that's not as attractive to a lot of people who maybe wanted to be in leadership more for the role of the hierarchical element. So we've been doing this probably Brenna, like just the last maybe 6 years?
Yeah, 6 or 7 years. There was definitely a shift when you came on staff. And so I was actually on staff prior to Heath being here, and he came over overseeing the creative teams. And honestly, bringing in team leadership, I had just never heard it explained that way or seen it done that way. But especially as a young leader on the team, the amount of trust and opportunities and authority that Heath gave me helped me to grow so tremendously, and honestly kept me rooted and planted here for as long as I have been. So, yeah.
I love that. And it's biblical, right? Ephesians 4, we're supposed to equip other people to, right, get in and get their hands dirty in ministry. And I don't mean literally dirty. Well, sometimes it's dirty. Buildings and grounds,
sometimes,
right? Got to get out there. Got to get out there and make it happen. Okay, so what Heath, you it sounds like you kind of brought the formal concept of this to Pure Heart. So what aside from you just being totally awesome, what drew you?
Has nothing to do with it. Yeah.
What drew you to team leadership?
So I think there's always been this mantra that leadership is lonely. And honestly, that I found that to be very true. I remember being at a church and I had been part-time and they offered me to jump me up to full-time. And I've always liked doing things with other people. It's just by nature, I just enjoy the process more. Not that I can't do stuff alone, but I just don't like it. And so I put together a document and proposed to the team and to the senior pastor. I said, what if instead of the pay that you would give me to bring me on full time, if I brought on maybe 2 part-time people with that money? And they're like, they kind of looked at me like I was an idiot. And like, why would you do that? This is your opportunity to step into greater leadership. And I was like, what's the point of doing that if I'm by myself? I won't enjoy it. And honestly, I question how good the ideas are from any one individual. And so they agreed to it and said, okay, well, we'll see how this goes. Brought on a couple people, and that ended up growing into, we had eventually had 5 part-time people and me on our team. And I would start getting questions from people just going, how your team is huge. What you guys are doing is huge. And how are you pulling that off? And I told them how, and suddenly the conversation would end. Because people are like, that sounds great, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it does create, because the pushback that you get a lot on this is that it's messy. To that, I would argue, actually, hierarchical leadership is also messy. We just do a better job of hiding it, or it's more contained because it rises and falls on the one individual. The success of the ministry rises and falls on the whims and also the vision of that person.
Yeah. Team
leadership, you can carry so much more. You can go so much further, but you have to completely change the system and how that operates. And you are so dependent on each other in the team. You have to invest in each other relationally, authority-wise, everything like that in order for it to work.
Yeah. So Brenna, like, you were already on staff. Like, how did you find that transition?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Heath mentioned it, that a lot of people are like, oh, team leadership is messy. And I think that was probably my first thought as well. My question was like, okay, but like, who's in charge? Like, who's in charge? And Heath was like, yes. The answer is yes. Like, we are doing this together. And what I've loved so much about it is that and you touched on this a little bit, Heath, it's so highly relational. And the people on our team went from just being these people that I'd see, throughout the week, and we'd get tasks done, but kind of separately, just in proximity to each other, to truly some of the deepest relationships in my life, and most meaningful relationships. Even to this day, I've met some of my best friends through ministry and being on this team together, and the trust that you build when you're in it together and you're doing it together. And it's not just one person having a bunch of other people facilitate. It feels like your voice matters. And like I said, you just build so much trust. And so it really didn't take super long for our team, I would say, to adjust and honestly start just running full force.
Man, that's incredible. I'm going to throw you a curveball here. We didn't talk about this ahead of time. Can you, like, practically speaking, on a week-to-week basis, can you maybe compare and contrast? Like, what does it look like at Pure Heart? Let's say you're designing a service that's coming up in a few weeks or whatever. What does it look like approaching that as really a full team, as opposed to just being told, I want this, and this?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll start with and I'll include Dan, our senior pastor, in that element of it and everything. And then Brenna, if you want to take over with the team dynamic of the pieces in there. it's funny because someone actually asked us this last week. They're like, so who's in charge? Like Brenna mentioned.
Yeah.
And who's you get this a lot. Who's the final say? Now and there's a grid that I think we'll talk about a little bit later. I'll try to remember to bring up, but types of authority that we all operate from. But it's so gray. So to your point of planning a service, everyone has components that they run point with that they're bringing to the table. We know an overarching, hey, this is what the series is, things like that. And even those things are decided by a team mentality.
Correct.
Where I meet with a handful of people and we talk through what's best for Pure Heart moving forward. Now, Dan's the senior pastor, but Dan has used his authority to dedicate authority to others. And so is he the final say? Yes, but he lets go of that final say. He gives that final say to others and actually becomes a member of the team when, depending on what area, he will defer authority to that person and subjugate himself to the authority of whatever role is there. Practical example of that is when we get into our planning meeting, which is really a programming meeting at that point because we plan further out ahead. It is a matter of he basically defers authority over to who's running that meeting, which Brenna runs those meetings. So he will bring his piece and then go, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What do you feel? So he won't dictate, I want these songs here. Even if he wants a response time, he's going, I'm thinking it might be cool. What do you guys think? Very rarely does he then go, I absolutely want this piece. He knows, he goes, you guys will probably come up with something that I would have never thought of. So fast forward then to we have Saturday service and then we have 3 Sunday services. We have something built into our system where after Saturday is done from start to finish, we all meet in the booth, Dan as well. And Dan asks the question, what do I need to do differently? At that point, he puts himself and defers to our programming director, who is Chip. And basically Chip then is in charge of things going, hey, you were 5 minutes long, Dan. Can you cut 5 minutes from what you're doing? And yeah, this happens like every single time going, and Dan will, it's not a fight. Dan goes, let me see where I can carve that out. And then he'll ask us, if I took this story out, how do you guys feel about the flow? That dynamic, even though he's in charge, he's not in charge of that section. He is granting authority to other people and then operating by it. Now, if there is a deal breaker, he will speak up. But that very rarely happens because he trusts the people that are around him. So on a team level, then Brenna, how we operate as a team when we do things would look like.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we're talking about just a weekend service, and you already touched on this a little bit, it starts out with, okay, what's our series? What's our theming? There's a group that meets together and they plan out the series year by year, but then we need creative vision. And so even within our own team, we have our online campus director or pastor, we have our creative director, myself. We'll pull in a few people like our communications director, depending on what the series is. Honestly, kind of the more voices, the better. And we'll get creatively rolling. And now our creative director, he's going to be the one who does have that final say of, okay, I think this is the direction that we're going, but we all have the opportunity to speak into it. And then from there, we have the really practical, the set lists and things like that. I could plan the whole set list and plug it in by myself, and it would probably be a little bit quicker, but we always reach out to our worship leaders, whether they're on staff or volunteers, and we ask for their input. We ask for, hey, this is what our series is about. This is week 1. Are there any songs that the Lord has put on your heart? We have a rotation that we go through of like 25 songs in whatever season. And hey, here's our song rotation. What do you feel like you would like to lead this week? And so we're always just pulling people into those conversations, getting more ideas, getting their input and their creativity. And then like Heath said, we all kind of come together. We get the nitty gritty done in our programming meeting. And then, yeah, just as a team, we run with all of our elements. But I love that we're always pulling each other into conversations. We're always, our guys who work and program in the booth, they'll pull me in on a Thursday afternoon and say, hey, this is the lighting cue. Can you give me your feedback? What does this look like to you? What would you change? And so I think it's just the intentionality of including other people, those relationships, getting other people's feedback.
Well, you guys have cultivated such an unbelievable level of mutual trust. That's my first reaction. My second reaction is your senior pastor is a pretty unusual duck, man.
Yeah.
That is to submit really is the word that comes to mind. And in my experience, they have not been all that interested in submission. And so, but because of the trust you've created, man, that is why and I can understand like how it. Well, I guess you explained to us how do you see a different outcome approaching things this way, as opposed to just one guy calling or girl calling the shots on everything?
I'd say from a senior level leadership, there's a mentality of the best idea wins, which instead of the person in charge wins. So technically, I'm the XP over our creative teams and strategy and things like that. In a traditional layout of church authority and everything, I could go, guys, this is what we're doing. This is how I want it to look exactly like this, guys. Here, and here's the songs. Here's the key songs that we're going to do. Figure it out. I would love to have this person do this. Everything. That idea, then the success of that idea or the weight of it is only as big as what I can dream up, or and oftentimes what ends up happening is, like I said, leadership is lonely. People will then source their ideas because you have a certain capacity for ideas. Some people are constantly coming up with them, but you're also generating them from what you see. A lot of people then, when they're alone, there's no one to spur them on. And so they end up just rehashing things or looking at what other people are doing as their source because they have no other source. This flips on its head to where I am one voice in the room, but actually I intentionally, and the team has even called me on this, I'll pull back even more so and not say things, even if I have an idea or whatever, because I want to see where they go.
Yeah.
I have to learn, I have to grow and get better at going, hang on, I'm going to step into this conversation, knowing that it's not that people aren't going to take it as an intimidation element. But I'm so cautious about that because I don't want to mess up the culture. But what's cool about that is suddenly if you have 10, 12 people who are contributing toward this idea and they're bringing their best to the table, the volume of that idea is so much bigger than one person could ever come up with. It is immense. If I'm a senior pastor who leads hierarchically, is that a word? In a hierarchic standpoint, yes. Yeah. Then that idea will only be as big as me. That's its limit. I am now the lid. I'm the ceiling for the organization. With team leadership, the sky's the limit because it will be as big as the team has the capability of being, which is immense. And the problem, and I think Scott, you said we're going to have Scott on the podcast in a few weeks or whatever, and we're going to talk about this whole thing of the senior leadership and the creative department, the gap that happens. And the biggest gap there comes from this standpoint. A lot of people who are hierarchical in their leadership style tend to hire people that they need to be facilitators, but they end up hiring people who are innovators and creatives they come up with ideas, but then they get on the team and they're getting handed ideas. And the clash and the gap begins to grow because that senior pastor doesn't realize that he actually should have probably hired facilitators based on his leadership style. And facilitators are amazing. They're great. And that style of leadership actually does work, and it works really well. But if you surround yourself with idea people and you just need facilitators, you're always going to be unhappy with the result. And flip that, if all I hired were facilitators, then I'd be constantly going, guys, bring something to the table. And they're waiting for me to give them ideas. Instead, I hire the best people who are smarter than me in the area that they need to be and are better than me, more talented than I ever will be. And then I pave the way and I listen and go, if you got an idea, let's run with it because you know more about this than I ever will.
Yeah. And I would say just from my perspective of being on the team and how it's impacted me, I would say it adds so much value to your team, this leadership style. it adds so much value to me as a person. And I cannot tell you how many creatives that I've spoken with who really struggle with this idea of where their value comes from, because in many of their roles at churches, they feel that they are only valued for the gifts that they bring. I'm a good singer, and so that's all that makes me valuable. But I would say this style of leadership really brings value to the person. When you're speaking into ideas that, they're overarching for the whole church, when we're talking about the series idea and people care about what I think outside of maybe even my direct scope or my direct role, it adds so much value to me. And I would say it builds so much trust too, so that when there is a situation where maybe someone does have to pull the veto card, that trust has been built and you can trust that, okay, they're keeping us in alignment. They're actually making sure that we're on track with the mission, the vision. They're not just trying to say no to me. There's a reason for this, because we have that built up trust over time.
Man, I want to work at Pure Heart. I'm going to tell you, man. I want it bad.
Well,
I can. Okay.
What's tough is that
this is a quick side. Go ahead.
Oh, no,
Go ahead.
What's tough is that a lot of times what we end up struggling with, people who step into a position of leadership, there is an identity struggle with them as well. And they're thinking, they tend to walk into that feeling, I am only valuable if I'm the one coming up with the ideas. Because that's kind of what's been taught. So in the same capacity, they're struggling with that as well. And so the hardest thing I find is people letting go of the fact that they're not in the spotlight because they associated their value with that ability to lead in that capacity. And if they're not doing it, then what does that make me? I had someone at Experience actually pull me aside, and they had a question about the soundboards that were being used in the workshop rooms. And they're like, "Hey, do you know that? What's the brand name of those boards?" And I'm like, "I have no idea." And he stopped me. And he's like, "But you're in charge." He's like, "How can you say that you're the leader when you don't know what's in the very workshops?" And I stopped him and I said, "It's because I'm the leader that I don't know what is in the workshop rooms."
Exactly.
Because we have a workshop director who knows that. Why would I get in his way? But he was struggling with going, how can you identify as a leader if you're not the guy or the girl, you know?
Right.
Because the identity is tied up in that. Letting go of that and going, our identity is in Christ, but we are all contributors toward the common goal, not in a weird way or, a Unitarian way or anything like that. Yeah. But we're all bringing this to the table and succeeding as a group. So that's hard. It challenges stuff.
It's phenomenal. And we've all worked with probably leaders who have like this stranglehold on authority. And there are times I've worked with people that they would make a decision that made no sense, but it was like just checking a box. Okay, I don't have to worry about that anymore. And I can remember saying to one of these leaders once, this person was quite a bit younger than me. And I was like, do you know that decision doesn't make any sense, right? Well, tell me why. And I was like, well, here's why, blah, 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 blah. Well, what makes you think that? And I was like, well, do you know when you were in high school, you know what I was doing? This. Like when you were learning how to drive a car, I was doing this. And that's why you have me here. Like if you want to just do all this yourself, you don't need me. Like just hire a contract worship leader and be done with it. But this concept, I'm floored. And I knew we were going to talk about this. It's not like it's a surprise to me, but the mutual trust that you guys have cultivated is just astonishing to me. So like, if this is, I'm another curveball, sorry. If you're talking to somebody who is like pedal to the metal, intrigued by this, but they don't have the foggiest idea of how to introduce it in their context, what would you say to them?
I think you have to start with the leader. Now, just because your senior pastor isn't this type of person does not mean that you can't operate a team that you lead this way. It just changes the dynamic a little bit. I've operated in very hierarchical structures and done team leadership, but you have to play both sides of it. So with your senior pastor, you and this is what a lot of isn't enticing. If something wins, then you turn around and you go, the team did it. You point back to the team.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, you take the brunt of it. You go, yeah, that was on me. So you're the buffer, especially in an environment where the senior pastor leads from top down. So even just saying that right away, that would probably push half the people go, that sounds good, but I don't want to do that, because then you're in the crosshairs. You can't hide from that. But the second thing is, and Brenna firsthand experienced this, and Brian, you've touched on it, it's the trust that you have to develop. You can start leading, but you have to start giving away authority in order to do it. It can't be, you build up enough trust with me and I'll start giving you authority. No, the way that they build trust with you is that you, as the leader, start letting go of things that you typically want control over. It has to start with you. It has to. You can't go, okay, guys, I want you to lean in more. You lean in more. That's not as attractive to leaders. That's a hard step to take. And also, it doesn't happen right away. Because Brenna, how long did I try to lean in with you and invite you in the conversation?
Yeah, no, it probably took like a good year, I would say. But I think, and I'll add this to what you were saying as well, giving people authority and then being okay when they do it different than you would do it. And I think you've done a phenomenal job of that. You've given me a lot of opportunities to run with something. And I'm sure that I do it so differently than you would do it. But you support me in that. And you're not like, there's never been the micromanagement of like, oh, actually you can do it, but just do it this way that I have in my mind. I remember we had, I think it was an Easter meeting a couple of Easters ago. And Heath was actually really excited about this stage design idea and like came in with this whole thing, and he's excited and he felt like everyone was on the same page. And he looked, and I think he could just tell that like, oh man, like I didn't really get to get my ideas out. And he stopped everything and he literally like erased what was on the whiteboard, the things that he had drawn out. And he's like, Brenna, what were you thinking? And at the end of the day, we actually ended up going with the idea that I presented because he was open-handed and he was willing to not just give fake input of, oh, what do you think? Okay, we're still going to do my idea, but giving real input and giving real authority to the team.
Man, this is one I'm going to be chewing on for a really, really long time. Is there anything else you want to tell us? You've already blown our minds. What else are you going to blow our minds with? Is there anything else about team stuff?
Well, you have to have a framework. So, like Brenna just brought it up and going, you have to be okay with the team coming up with something that's different than what you had in your head. But that does not absolve you from being able to cast vision for where you want to land.
Right.
Okay. So I use the illustration with the team a lot going, imagine I brought designers into a room and I was like, okay, I want you to do whatever you want in this. Just make it, I want it exciting. And then I walk out of the room and I come back and I'm like, ooh, it's pink. Like I didn't give them any parameters for it. It's like, I can't complain about it. I didn't give them any direction. So a lot of times what we will do is when we sit in an initial meeting going, hey, what do we want to do here? All I ask is that here's 3 parameters. Here's 3 landing pads that I want us to hit. Like an example, this is probably the one that comes up. It's every, twice a year with Easter and Christmas is we are very evangelistic in our approach at Pure Heart. And so Dan asked, he's like, I don't want to tell you what songs to do. He said, all I ask is that we have enough familiar songs that the melody is consistent for the people who on Christmas and Easter haven't been to church in a while, but they remember the songs. So that they don't feel weird and are just standing there while you guys are singing. He's like, invite them in. He's like, if we could do that for those 2, but he doesn't go, I want you to sing How Great Thou Art. I want you to like any of it. He's like, just, if you can just make that, and it doesn't have to be the whole thing. There just has to be a moment where people connect and go, I remember this. That's a parameter. And so that evangelistic nature also shapes the parameters within the services that then when I hand it to the team and go, okay, I know that even if they paint it a different color than what I want, they're still doing it to accomplish the goal. And then if they do that, then we've got to be happy with whatever the result is, you know. But the parameters in place, we all abide by structures. And Brenna and I had one of our one-on-ones, because we do one-on-ones with each of our team members and everything like that every month. But Brenna and I got together yesterday, and we were even talking about some of the mess of keeping the culture consistent. And that was going over communication, because you're team-led. There's times where we have to say things even to the point where we're like, they have to be sick of hearing or being invited into this conversation by now.
Yeah.
But that's the first time that it actually clicked with them. So the over communication element, the asking for input, don't just wait for input, pull someone in and everything, follow up with them. But we have things like levels of leadership of, why do people follow you? And that's a grid. We have culture statements that we're known for. We have, and then the thing that we talked about earlier, we have types of authority that help us plan out, what is this meeting? How is this meeting structure? What are the roles, and how do we step into these meetings? So without the framework, there's that phrase, and we talked about it today in our meeting. You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your system. And that's true time and time again. We all think that we're gonna, in the moment, we're gonna be the hero and we're gonna act in a way, but you end up doing what you rehearse, So.
Man, and I would think this changes everything. It probably changes how you celebrate moments and people. It changes certainly how you create and strategize for moments and people. And wow. Gosh.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. And I'd say Brenna is, she has been tasked with guarding the culture. Like that's one of the things that's on her DNA, our deliverables and activities. It's like she guards the culture and makes sure. So she's constantly seeing where we at, feeling those things out on a regular basis. And she does a phenomenal job with that. But these structures, there's stuff to them. There's weight to them. And if we're not abiding by those structures, it pushes us. We this, Brenna, we've had to have some really hard conversations with people. There's times where Brenna's come in and really called me on stuff, and we need to have those, and those are hard, But
wow,
are they difficult, Brenna, or do you
no?
find them easy?
I want to say one thing. My AirPods just died, so I don't want to screw up your audio. Do you need me to grab wired headphones?
No.
Okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's definitely messy. It's people, it's ministry, and so there's always going to be the messy factor of having the hard conversations. But I think, and we were just talking about this yesterday, it's that communication aspect. It's over communicating. It's communicating time and time again. Maybe what feels like you've screamed it till your face has turned blue. But in order to make it work for everyone, there's different learning styles. Heath knows for me, like he was even prepping me yesterday for this podcast. He was like, I'm an internal processor. And so he knows that if I need to talk about something, he needs to give me like a 24-hour buffer to think it through, to like get ideas in my brain. And so I think it's also like then learning how to communicate to your team specifically and to those people as individuals.
Man, one of the things I say on here all the time is there is no neutral in leadership. There's no marking time. You always have to have your foot on the gas. And it would seem to me that in an environment like this, that is especially true for leaders. You're talking about over communication and the trust it takes. There's an old adage about trust, how it's developed in over years and lost in a moment or whatever that is. I just butchered that saying, but it can you got to fight for it. You got to protect it.
And we always tell the team, that culture will happen regardless of what you do. There's culture everywhere. Like So you not doing something is creating a culture.
Yes, it is.
You can take a sample of a stagnant pond and drop it under a microscope, and that's a culture. It's just stuff sitting there. So you can either just accept the culture that is, or you pour into the culture to create what you want. Those are the options. And so our team is tasked with creating the culture. We're the thermostat, not the thermometer. We have to be able to, we're making it happen, not just sitting with what is.
Mercy. Yeah. So good. Man, Heath and Brenna, thank you for giving us a glimpse into this place now probably that all of us want to come and work. So as job openings become available,
we'll post
please
them
let us
with
know.
churchjobs.com. Yeah. Love it.
Oh, man. Thanks for that. That's really, really awesome.
Hey, Brian, this is my favorite part of the entire podcast. And Brenna,
I'm so excited
you've never
because
experienced
I've listened to this part of the podcast so many times, and now I get to be on for it.
But this is Prayer Concerns.
So prayer concerns, guys, it's so funny to me that this is episode 391. And back when we started this, I thought, man, this will give us like a good month. It'd be a good run. Maybe for a month, people will send these to us. And here we are 8 years later, and people are still getting sideswiped by members of their congregation, by, drive-bys, all kind of stuff. And so, I know you've got them. Somebody has said something crossways to you at church. They didn't like your songs or your volume or your lighting or your jeans or your hat or all manner of stuff. So send them to us. You can go to our website, worshipleaderprobs.com, click on prayer concerns up in the menu. You can DM them to us on the socials as well. And we got a couple of different streams of prayer concerns. So today is a really popular one. It is unusual song requests. So we are sharing prayer concerns, unusual song requests. So let's dive right in. Prayer concern, unusual song request number 1. I still haven't found what I'm looking for by U2.
That request came from me. So, yeah.
I can kind of see that.
I love U2. I'm a huge U2 fan. So that's my era. So, yeah. So if you could jump on that, I would appreciate it. So this next Sunday, yeah.
Well, and look, so much of like what happens in worship music, you can kind of trace back to U2 and the way the band plays and the space and the 4 on the floor and all that stuff. I mean,
yeah. Well, the time frame in which it all happened, like when Vineyard music was taken off and Hosanna, Integrity, and all those things was happening during the same time when U2 was huge. And so a lot of your guitar sounds, the way you structured songs and everything was gaining traction at the same time. So, I can't dog this request. Actually, I'm for this request. Not only am I the president, I'm also a client.
This gets the HMB stamp of approval.
Yes. You know what? I'm not laughing about this. Yeah.
Okay, prayer concern, unusual song request number 2. Party in the USA for 4th of July Sunday.
That's a great idea. Again, I'm not seeing the issues with these.
I know what we're doing for the 250th anniversary.
Yep. For 4th of July. 4th of July is coming up, so you guys can take that idea and run with it if you want to.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Tuck that one away. Yeah.
Run with it. Oh my gosh. Okay.
So good.
Prayer concern, unusual song request number 3. Higher by Creed.
Wait, I don't think I know that one.
No. Yeah. Can you take me home? Can I just say that at no point in time should Creed ever be considered for a moment in a worship service, not because there's anything wrong with them, but because it's just wrong. So definitive. So there you go.
Oh my gosh, these are killing me, man. Okay,
them and Nickelback should not be used.
Okay, prayer concern, unusual song request number 4. Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash.
Wow, I want to know the context.
Great song.
Can you imagine?
I fell into a burning ring of fire.
I think, it'd take a little work, but you could do it.
Today we're going to be talking about the book of Revelation.
Exactly.
And to kick that off.
Okay. Wow. So I just read them as they come. These are not embellished in any way. Okay. So this is Prayer Concern Unusual Song Request number 5. This is the last one. We were having a prayer meeting and somebody suggested, I Want to Know What Love Is by Foreigner. I don't get that, man.
Especially the I want you to show me. Every introvert in the room would be going, nope, I'm out.
Nope.
I'm out.
Yeah, let's pray the benediction and get the heck out of here.
Hand sanitizer everywhere.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, fam. So those are prayer concerns. Today it was unusual song requests. Next week it'll probably be the OGs, like the Savage Roast by your congregation. Whatever you got, send them to us, worshipleaderprobs.com, or you can hit the link in our bio and scroll down far enough. You'll just see a button that takes you straight to the prayer concerns page on our website. Well, Heath and I got to know each other through Experience Conference.
I was hoping you weren't going to say the Foreigner song.
That's right, exactly. We were singing some Foreigner one day. So back in the beginning of this deal, it was called Worship Leader Probs. That's a story for another day. And I was anonymous, but I was going to Experience Conference, and I would be sitting in the audience making memes about the conference and people on stage. And nobody knew it was me, but I would get these responses from the conference, and I had no idea it was Heath. And now you fast forward 10 years later, and here we are, friends, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing. I always tell people, if I had a crisis in my life, and over the last couple of years, we've gone through some stuff.
There's been a couple, yeah.
Well, there's been a couple. And so of the first 5 phone calls I'm going to make, at least 3 of them are because of relationships that I have through Experience Conference. And so Heath, tell us a little bit. First of all, we have a discount code, PROBS26. You can find a link in our bio. Use that link. Use the code. Save you $30 for every registration. It's September the 8th through the 11th.
Correct.
Walt Disney World, Coronado Springs Resort. What else can you tell? Can we break
what else
news?
What else needs to be said at this point? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mention this one name, and if by the point when it's going to air, Allie, if for whatever reason it crashes and didn't go through, please delete it and fill it with your voice and say somebody else's name. So
redacted.
Yes. But the guys over at Essential Worship told me that they locked in SCU for our Thursday night session. So that is another addition to an already, you've seen the list.
Stacked.
I mean,
it is stacked.
Passion Music. We got Red Rocks, Thrive. I mean, it's nonstop. We got some great crew. Alexander Pappas from Integrity, Tim Hughes. Man, that's here
I am to worship.
Leader,
come on, yes,
a leader among worship leaders.
Yes.
Yeah, that song
Layton.
itself. Mm-hmm. That she's great. Natalie Runyon. We have Bobby Chandler as speakers, and we're still adding to the list. So it's a phenomenal lineup.
Anybody from Terre Haute, Indiana, coming?
I think that there is one guy. I don't know if you've heard of him. Longbeard, long year, something like that. So, no, Scott's going to be there. We're glad to have him back. It was great having him last year, and it's great to have him again this year. That'll be fun. We also have the intensives, the pre-conference intensives. Those will kick off on Monday, and our one and only, our favorite red bearded gentleman, Jeremy Van Valkenburg, is leading the audio intensive. And then of course we got the songwriting intensive, which is just growing like crazy. Carrie Roberts is leading the vocal intensive. It's across the board. It's just going to be a fun time, and it's already awesome. It's blowing up. So you need to jump in.
Absolutely. And there's like 100 workshops. Everybody on your team will find more than one thing to go to. We'll be there. We're going to record an episode of the podcast as a workshop.
That's always fun.
Live with people in the room. We love it so much. Kim and I are teaching a workshop on preparing your heart for worship, preparing your heart to serve. And so there's practical tools, there's spiritual help, there's leadership. Everything you could want in a conference is there. And look, if you are involved in worship, in creative production, whatever, and your family isn't, bring your family, because there's about 1 million things for them to do while you're at the conference. The resort is awesome. They can hop into Disney parks. They can do all kinds of stuff. And you will never find a cheaper rate to stay in a Disney hotel than you will the rate that they give us for Experience Conference. It's awesome.
Agreed. Yeah.
It's Love so awesome. So join us. Link in the bio. Probs26 is your discount code. Use it up. And then, before that, July the 10th, we're doing our next pop-up Probs event. We're doing this in Charlotte, North Carolina, at the headquarters of AE Global. We're going to be there for a day. It's all free. I'll be there. Kim will be there. We'll be doing some teaching. Our friend Wade Joy, longtime creative pastor at Elevation Church in Charlotte, is going to join us that day. It's free. There'll be a free lunch. We're going to record a podcast. Lots of It's all about you. So come, bring your teams. It's at the headquarters of AE Global. You can find a link in our bio for that as well. And Heath, how's the book, man? How's the book doing?
I'd like to say the book is doing well, but I haven't actually looked in sales, so I'd be guessing. But
it's flying off the shelves. That's what the people at Amazon tell me.
I'm like, do they have shelves there? No. It's flying off the shelf at the headquarters there. So I have sold tens of copies. I'm pretty sure. So it is but. What's been really cool is getting the feedback from it. I've been several people from across the country have reached out and just said, "Hey, this one," dug a little bit deeper, going, "Hey, when you said this in this chapter, can you process that with me?" And that right there, that's what it's all about, is making sure that it is helping people grow and kind of push past the limitations and boundaries with their creativity. To dare to kind of risk more and everything. And so those stories have been great. And so I pray that they continue to grow. So.
Unimaginable is the book by Heath Michael Bottomley, not just Heath Bottomley. Heath and Michael
the foreword
Bottomley.
Is the best part of the book.
The foreword is written by.
Say so myself.
Yes, it really is. Yes. And it's written by.
And it's really good.
The one and only.
Go ahead and order it. Link in bio.
It's
exactly.
Captivating.
Order up your copy of that. It's wonderful. And guys, Heath and Brenna, thanks so much for sharing today. We always love thinking outside the box, and this is one of those episodes for sure. People are going to be chewing on this for a long time. So thank you guys so much for sharing.
Thank you
today.
for having us.
It's our pleasure. Hey, since I know you're not gonna push this, I'm gonna push it for you. Before anyone signs off, before you hit stop on this, I want you to take a second and just make sure that you subscribed wherever you listen to podcasts, so that you don't miss an episode of Worship Probs. And also, you know what? They would love for you to take just a quick minute and head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star rating, and also make sure it's a strong review. I mean, even if you want to tease Brian a little bit in it, that's still, to me, that's a strong review right there. Give him some grief in a highly positive way. It would be great. Because bigger than anything, when you do stuff like that, when you come alongside Brian and all the amazing things that he's doing, what it does is it pulls together the community of worship and production leaders, and helps them know that they're not alone in this, and they get to come together and they get to grow. So every time you hit subscribe, every time that you give a good review and a rating like that, it bridges the gap and opens up the door for more people to join this community. So, honestly, we can't thank you enough for doing that. And also, Brian, we can't thank you enough for constantly pushing and making a place where worship leaders and people in ministry can be heard, have a good time, and be encouraged. So thank you for everything that you do.
Oh man, I appreciate that so much. There are a handful of people who have been here from day one, kind of encouraging me in this, and you're at the top of that list, Heath. So I appreciate that so much. And guys, thanks for following us on the socials. We're at Worship Probs on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Threads. On TikTok, Worship Leader Probs. We have a Worship Probs community group on Facebook, just leaders helping leaders. We're not sharing memes over there. It's totally different content. And there's 3 questions to get in the group, just like every other Facebook group. Answer the questions or I can't let you in. I let a spammer in once and they put me on lockdown. So answer the 3 questions when you join. And
or they can just fax you at your MySpace page. So that would work too.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. Facsimile. And on X, you look for the hashtag Worship Leader Probs. And before you bounce, a huge shout out to our girl, Allie Bajanos at Allie Be Creative. She does such a great job on editing our podcast. And she edits the Strip Free podcast, the first podcast on our network as well. And if your church or ministry needs help with some branding, design, website, logo, coaching up your social media team or your comms team, here's your girl, and we'll tag her in the description. 10 out of 10, recommend her. And thanks to my friend Scott Hoke for our intro. Guys, we're so glad you tuned in for 391. Until next time, deuces.
And as Marcel Marceau once said,
so bad.